This is video 6B of this UTP template instructional series. In our last video, we covered the basic functions of the initial scheduler. In this video, we will demonstrate advanced functions for the initial scheduler. The additional functions buttons appearing here, this block of three, provide for three functions: PO, EO exceptions, optional periods, and PO search, and we'll cover each of these. Starting with PO, EO exceptions, I click on that button. It opens up the PO, EO exceptions dialog box. What this is for is to indicate in the template if there are instances of EOs that are not required, and rather than simply not scheduling them and not indicating why, this is a method of parking those EOs so that the template doesn't think that you have simply forgotten to schedule them. You use the drop-down boxes as appropriate, so starting by indicating what level or phase. In this case, I'm going to put an exception for year 4, and you have an indication of EOs not yet scheduled. M40905C is the one I'm thinking of in particular. I select that one and I indicate a reason. 409, of course, is instructional techniques, and these are periods for mutuals. And if I have a small class size, I may not need all of the time available. So I indicate why I'm making it an exception and taking it out of the list of EOs to be scheduled. PO/EO exceptions that are entered here do appear on the verification report as part of the training plan review. When you're finished, you simply click Close Form. If I need to create optional periods, we did show you one method already by right-clicking on the session number or session date, and you can create activities. Or you can create actual optional periods, and there's a couple of options here. One method is on the left side of the screen, and you indicate the level that you want to create an optional period for, or you can create optional periods for all levels at one time by using this checkbox. You create a period short name. In this case, I'm going to create a training briefing period, and move on to the period details or detailed description. Oops. And if I want more than one period, I would just type over this with a different number. One period is all I need. It creates the period once I click on the button, and then this period is available in the PO scheduler to be scheduled. The other option that is available for creating optional periods is over here on the right side of the screen. And what this tool over here is for creating additional instances of either mandatory or complementary content as optional periods. So you would take your level filter, select the year that you want to create periods for, use the PO filter, find the PO that you're looking for. Perhaps it's in leadership, and you click on the EO. You can read basic information about the EO, and if that's the one you want, simply double click and it creates an additional period. In this case, I have 2 classes of year 1, so it created a period for each, which would be exactly what I would want. When you're done, you simply close the wizard, go back to your PO scheduler. Just to show you then that under the PO filter, optional periods appear under the OPT PO name. Click on that, and as you can see, optional periods, even when they're optional instances of mandatory or complementary content, always are preceded with the O. So when looking at this, even though it's a mandatory instance, but with the O in front, I would see, oh, that's an additional optional period. I did want to schedule my year 4 class that I created, the training briefing, and I wanted to put it in right here, and I double click, and so there it is. And again, in the scheduler, you see right away that's an optional period. So optional periods must be created and then scheduled. Optional periods that are unscheduled and no longer required should be deleted. Otherwise, they appear in the verification report as unscheduled EOs. The third tool that we're going to show you here is the PO search, which is a great little on-screen tool. So when you're looking for an EO that you think you've scheduled but you're just not sure where, this is a great way to look it up. Right now it's displaying all of the EOs for all levels, and we can use the scroll bar to look through, but we have some filters at the top here to help us find exactly the information we're looking for quickly. I want to look for PO 190 in year 1, so I'm going to select one of my year 1 classes, go to the PO filter, pull up 190, and so here I can see that I've got my 3 EOs for 190 scheduled and the dates that they're scheduled on. If I had any EOs attached to an exercise date belonging to this PO or parked in PO exceptions, it would reflect that as well on here. Closing out of here, we're going to take a look at moves. Sometimes you schedule an EO and then you find that you want to move it to another location. And we previously showed you how to unschedule an EO by double clicking and then reschedule it elsewhere. There's another way of achieving that using drag and drop features, and there's 3 main options. I'm just going to scroll down a bit in the schedule where I've got some open spaces. So starting with simply dragging and dropping a single EO to a blank destination cell. So I'm going to take this M14001C. I'm going to left click on it and hold that left click down, drag it down to period 1 of the next week, release the left click, and it moves that period for me. I can move it back again just as easily. So that's moving a single period to a blank destination cell. If the destination cell has some content in it, it will simply perform a swap. So for example, if I wanted to take that same period, M14001C, and I wanted to drag it up to the second period, which has an EO scheduled, and I release it there, as you can see, what it does is it performs a swap with the other period. And I can drag it back down. So that's a single EO. I can also take an entire period, and if I take period 1 of May 13th, and I want to move it to any other period, but in this case I'll move it to the first period of May 27th, which is blank, and I release it there, I can move an entire period. So again, how I did that is I just went to the period number, and I left click, hold down that left click, drag it up to the period where you want to move it to, and release that left click, and the period moves. I can use that to move periods within a parade night, and again, if those destination periods are full, it simply does a swap. So if I take period 1 and I want to move it to period 3, it's going to swap periods 1 and 3. And I can move it back again. So a very simple way of making changes without having to unschedule and reschedule EOs. In the same way, I can move an entire week by using the session number and or the session date. So if I left click on the session date and I hold that left click down, go down to the date where I want to move it to, and release, it moves the entire date. If I am moving to a week that is scheduled, it will simply perform a swap with that week. So again, I'm going to take the 27th of May, hold down the left click, move it to the 20th of May, and I'm going to see these weeks swap, like so. And I can move it all back up again very quickly. So the drag and drop features are great for making quick, effective changes, and you can make good decision making as you go along. The class filters allow you to manage the amount of information you want to display or work with at any time, and those class filters are up here. I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of my schedule. If I want to look at just level 1, I can bring them up here. If I want to look at level 1 and 3, I can bring them up together. I can go back to all classes and so on. So great quick ways of managing the amount of information. Of course, we did talk in a previous video about creating customized groups. So if you want to look at groups and you've created these customized groups in the level and phases setup, you can quickly call up those pre-designated groups as well. If class filtering is active, meaning some classes are not being displayed, and a drag and drop move is being executed using either a period number or session or date number, the template will initially ask if this move should be applied to only the filtered or displayed items, or if it should be applied to all classes. And we'll just give an example of such a move. Again, I'm going to scroll back down my schedule here. If I'm going to use the date number and I'm going to drag from the 13th of May to the 20th of May, it's going to ask me, do I want to apply it only to the filtered items? In other words, only years 1 and 2. And I'm going to say, no, I want that to be applied to everybody. And so then if I look at all my classes, we'll see that move was applied to everyone. This is a reminder to you, as you may not realize, you are filtering the display and the requested move would normally affect all levels or phases. Your choice will be remembered until the scheduler is closed and you will not be prompted again, although you can change the setting at any time by using this checkbox here and selecting the other option. There's one final drag and drop feature to demonstrate regarding scheduling for multiple classes of the same level or phase. I'm just going to scroll back up to the top of the schedule. So in this case, we have 2 classes belonging to year 1, and I have scheduled the first year. And then at this point, I would need to schedule all the same EOs for the second year, which can be a little bit time consuming. We have indicated that additional classes for any level can be added at any time, but scheduling must be completed for each class. This feature allows scheduling of any additional classes to be made easier using the drag and drop feature. In order to simply copy over the schedule from one class to another, you just go to the class you want to copy from, left click and hold, and drag that over to the class that you want to copy the schedule to, and release. And you get a little warning saying any unscheduled classes for 1B will be changed to match Hercules 1A schedule. Do you wish to proceed? Yes. And any of those unscheduled periods from 1B then will mirror the schedule from the class that we were copying from. You can then drag and drop, you can move around, make any adjustments in that class that you copy to as required, but certainly makes scheduling that second class quite a bit easier. The last topic for this video will cover the remaining parade night options, which is the tool accessed by right-clicking on the session number or date of a training session. I'm just going to go to the 29th of October, and here's my parade night options. We've looked at how to create an activity, and if I wanted to delete this activity, I could use the deletion key right here. But I do want to show you the other options that we had looked at, which include resetting a session. So I can delete this activity, or I could reset the session. I'm going to choose reset session so I can demonstrate that. You get a warning. Yes, I want to reset the training for the session and empty the contents. If there was any scheduled EOs, they would be returned to the list of EOs needing to be scheduled. I'm going to click proceed. And you can see that has emptied out this training night and that activity that we had on there. If I need to create a stand down on that date, I just right click on the date, select stand down, and indicate the name for the stand down. It could be stand down, or I could give some name connected to it. In this case, I'm just going to say stand down, and it blocks it off in my training schedule. So that covers the three features that are available by right-clicking on the session number or date, the stand down, the activity, and resetting the session. In our next video, we will examine the features of the level scheduler.